Hello everyone. I'm very sorry I took another very big break, but I ended up hurting my wrist and it's still not fully healed. I guess it's like the aftermath, because whenever I draw or write it feels really weird, but it's gotten a lot better. So either way, I really wanted to talk about the most recent 3 chapters of Haikyuu. And I'm actually going to do a separate video talking about Kimetsu no Yaiba because it's over, it's done, and I don't know how to feel about it, so I really want to dedicate an entire video to my feelings about that. So for now, 392. Now, this chapter absolutely destroyed me. My favorite Haikyuu team is Fukurodani, so this chapter really hit me where it hurt. So the chapter starts out with Bokuto and Atsumu's first meeting, which I'm sure they've met before, but this was their first meeting, being on the same team. And Atsumu is really critical of him at first because he's like, listen, you can't be getting emo on me. And Bokuto's like, don't gotta worry about that. And then he brings up the fact that he's just an ace, which sort of introduces the name of the chapter as well, which is Just a Star. And it's like, it really seems like his mindset has changed, because in high school he was very gung-ho and he was like, oh, I'm the best, no one can beat me. His catalyst seems to be his loss at nationals, because he feels that he's responsible for losing that last point for them, because he feels like he wasn't confident enough. Can I say that the entire Haikyuu fandom was clowned on by Furudate? It's actually amazing, because there was a good amount of people who thought Fukurodani was going to win nationals, and another big part of the fandom thought that Kamomedai was going to win nationals, but neither of them did. Can you believe it? It was some random team who ended up beating both of them. So not only do we have Bokuto and his mindset kind of changing with that, we also kind of see Haikyuu isn't really about winning, it's about the friends we make along the way. I know it sounded cliche, but I think it is a lot about the people you meet and the things that they can teach you. I feel like Hinata learned a lot from not only his team, but from Bokuto and Kuro and Kenma, After Bokuto starts to blame himself for his team losing, Konoha, well, first of all, we see Akashi cry, which I was like, come on, man. I don't need this right now, because I was already in shock that they lost. But then Konoha starts talking about how much of a pain Bokuto was, but how much he still is rooting for him, and how much he thinks he should keep going on. It's so funny because there's one part where Bokuto does a backflip and fails, and he's just sitting there and everyone starts freaking out. They're telling Akashi to call 911. Or the other time that he pulled the fire alarm because he didn't know what press this firmly means. But for as funny as his speech was, it was also really nice and heartwarming to see how much he believes in Bokuto. His speech was also kind of a callback to his current concern on his character bio thing, because his current concern was he feels like Bokuto gets away with stuff because it ends up working for him. We also got to see everyone in Fukurodani who we haven't seen yet, all grown up. I think I'm most satisfied with Konoha, Kaori, and Akashi's design now. Bokuto and Yuki haven't really changed that much, and neither has Washio. I really like Sadaku's hair, but I feel like Konoha, Kaori, and Akashi are the MVPs of just looking good. Just some little extra things that I thought were cute in this chapter. Komi being an actor, I was like, okay, Komi. And I was also, it was really cute to see Kaori and Yuki together watching the match. And the Bokuto beam was so cute. I think little fan engagements like that are so nice. It's like a fan chant kinda. And then I think the final page was kind of like a It was just a nice little treat for Fukurodani stands to see everyone together again and all grown up. Oh my god, if I wasn't already crying from Konoha encouraging Bokuto, that last page really got to me. 393 was focused more on Hoshumi, and I feel like it was really pushing home the little giant motif. There's a lot of focus on Hoshumi, Hinata, Tenma, and the Shiratorizawa coach, whose name I can't remember for the life of me. And there's a lot of shots of Hoshumi and Hinata facing each other. Furudate is really pushing the little giant idea and how hard they've worked to get where they are. It's pretty interesting to see people who gave up playing volleyball, like the coach and Tenma, Hoshumi and Hinata, who continued despite their disadvantage. And speaking of disadvantages, there was a lot of talk about how height is a disadvantage for volleyball players, but how Hinata and Hoshumi have been able to overcome that, and not only overcome it but kind of make it their strength. With Tenma, he says that he tried too hard to hone his skills and to become more, to become more technically good at volleyball. But no matter how much you practice at volleyball, people were gonna also practice and get better at volleyball, so his height would still be a disadvantage because even as he moved up, he'd still meet people who were tall and skilled. But Fumi, who we see grown up now, says that yes, she interviews Hoshumi because he's short, and that's very interesting for a volleyball player, but she feels that it's more interesting that he's been able to make his height something that works for him. Not only is he ignoring his height and acting like it's not a problem, but he's using it to his advantage. Little note, we also see Akane all grown up, and I was so excited to see her. I think Akane is definitely one of my favorite Haikyuu girls, and I think her grown-up design is so cute. And it was also really nice to see that she was a Nekoma graduate. It should be obvious because of how hard she went cheering for Nekoma, but sometimes, I don't know, it should be obvious, I don't know. It still made me excited anyway. 394, it's called The Lucky Ones, and it's centered around Sakusa, and I think more of his beliefs and his mindset about volleyball. It starts off with him talking to Ushijima, and he's asking him how he got so good, and Ushijima says, well, I practiced a lot, but I was also very lucky. We haven't really seen a lot about Sakusa, so I think this chapter was really nice to see more about just him. I feel like he's been an enigma up to this point, and as an artist, I can say that it's been really hard to characterize him based on the little crumbs we've been given. We see Hinata and Sakusa meet for the first time as new teammates, and Sakusa actually calls him Mr. I Got a Fever and got benched on their first meeting, and Hinata's like, it's been 6 years. And Sakusa's like, oh, well, you need to learn how to take better care of yourself if you're going to be on the same team as me. And Hinata's like, well, yeah, obviously I know how to take better care of myself now. But he says it more positively, I'm just but then we see Sakusa acknowledge, not to Hinata's face, but in his own mind, that you can really practice all you want, you can train and everything, but luck will only get you so far, and you'll have something unlucky like that happen. And right here is where the Haikyuu fandom got clowned again, because a lot of people shipped Komori and Sakusa together, and it's been revealed now that they're cousins. Moment of silence for everyone who shipped Komori and Sakusa. I don't want to sound mean when I'm saying this, but I literally could not stop laughing when I read that. It's more like, it's like tragic. I shouldn't use that word for something so like not important, but it's just, I don't know, it makes it funnier. And I think how people were reacting made it even worse, because people were like, oh god, now everyone's gonna be related. But yeah, we get a little more of Komori talking about Sakusa, and he says that once he started hanging out with him more, after his parents told him to, he saw how dedicated he was to anything he does and how he really will not leave anything unfinished. And then we go back to Sakusa's little flashbacks point of view. I don't know how to explain it. And he's upset because he sees boys leaving the restroom and not drying their hands and just spraying water everywhere. But he sees Ushijima being very cleanly and having a handkerchief and folding it correctly. And he admires that, and he also ends up admiring him on the court because the spin in his spike is very good. This chapter kind of killed Komori and Sakusa, but it absolutely breathed life into Sakusa and Ushijima. I think to Sakusa, Ushijima was someone that he really liked to play against. Like, he was a worthy opponent, you know what I mean? Like, it's kind of like Hinata's Kenma, or vice versa. You know what I mean. And we also see someone else's luck running out, similar to Hinata with his fever, in Sakusa's upperclassman, who ended up hurting his ankle. And at first, Sakusa doesn't understand why he's so upset when he practiced as hard as he could. You know, he shouldn't feel frustrated. He shouldn't feel any regrets. But then his senpai is like, that's why it hurts more. And then Sakusa understands. And we see Sakusa's final point, which is all he wants to do is practice and train until he feels satisfied in the end during his last match. And can I just say that the paneling on the last page is absolutely beautiful as usual. Especially the last little panel of Sakusa, like, it looks so good. And yeah, that was the most recent chapters of Haikyuu. I'm very excited to see what comes next. We're still praying for Kuro to come back home, or any member of Nekoma to come back home, because we only have Kenma and we're getting restless. But I hope you enjoyed my thoughts and my explanations and whatever you want to call it on these recent chapters. And thank you so much for watching. Bye.